If you're watching this and you're a woman over 50 who has left a toxic relationship, a toxic work environment, or even a toxic season of your life, I want to start by saying this. You are not behind, you are not broken, and you are not starting over from nothing. You are rebuilding your life from experience, and that totally matters. This video is not about hype, it's not about quick money, and it's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about being in a leadership role after that toxic experience. It's about identity after you've survived something traumatic. And it's about why I chose to align my time, energy, and income with something that respected my nervous system instead of exploiting it. And that was so important to me. If you've ever felt like chaos was mistaken for success, stay with me because you're going to learn a lot in this video. So, one of the biggest lies women internalize after toxic relationships or a toxic work environment is that leadership has to be loud, that success has to be stressful, that growth requires sacrifice of peace. If you have heard these things, let me know in the comments because it's so important. When you've lived in emotional instability, your body learns survival patterns, and for a long time, chaos felt familiar, or it still feels familiar for you. So when calm shows up, it feels uncomfortable, like, what is going on here? But here's what I've learned. Leadership after toxicity is not reactive. It's regulated, intentional, and it's calm. And women over 50 understand this on a deeper level because we've already paid the price of burnout. Me being an emergency room nurse for 15 years, I totally understand what burnout feels like. Listen, we're not here to hustle. We're here to build something that lasts. And I'm going to show you what that means for me and what that could mean for you. So after toxicity, identity loss is real. You stop trusting your decisions. Heck, sometimes you can't even make decisions. You second guess your instincts. You question what you deserve. Heck, you question everything. Rebuilding identity isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you are without being in survival mode. For me, that meant choosing routines, products, and work that felt supportive, not demanding. And I started this while in my toxic relationship and my toxic work environment because I knew I needed something else. That's where clean routines matter. That's where boundaries matter. And that is where alignment matters. Your next chapter doesn't need drama to be meaningful. And maybe that's all you're used to, but I'm here to tell you it does not have to be like that. Stress doesn't just live in your mind. It shows up in your body. It shows up hormonally. It shows up in your hair, your skin, and your energy level. Many women notice hair thinning, dryness, or scalp sensitivity after long periods of emotional stress or major life transition. That's not vanity, that's physiology. I became intentional about what I put on my body because healing required consistency and gentleness, not harsh fixes. Not to mention as little time as it needed and as less expensive as I could get it. I wanted products that worked with my body, not against it. And that became a non-negotiable for me. And believe me, it never used to be. I used to just grab what was on the shelf and kind of go from there. So let's talk honestly about business and the fact that business models matter for women over 50. Women rebuilding after toxicity, or even while you're trying to get out of that toxic situation, you don't need pressure, you don't need urgency, you don't need manipulation, and overall, you don't need hype. What you need is predictability, integrity, long-term thinking, and above all, autonomy to get yourself back to you. I chose a business model while I was in a toxic relationship, while I was in a toxic environment that allowed me to grow steadily, ethically, and without sacrificing my peace. And that felt so good. It's not about fast money. It's about stability, and stability restores self-trust. That's why the business side matters just as much as the products for me. And I'm going to tell you why. I didn't choose this path because someone convinced me. And although I did have conversations and I was skeptical, I was the one that made the decision. I chose it because it aligned with who I was becoming and who I wanted to be in the future. I wanted clean routines. I wanted income that didn't require me sacrificing my time. I wanted leadership without chaos, and overall, I wanted community without competition. And that's what I found. And I wanted something I could build quietly, consistently, and long term. That's why I partnered with MONAT. Not because it was trendy, not because it was loud. Actually, I hadn't even heard of the company, but because it fit my values in this season of my life. So if you're watching this and wondering if it's too late, let me say this clearly. Your experience and your age is not a liability. It is your authority. Women over 50 are powerful builders because we see patterns, we value as well as set boundaries. We think long term and we move with intention. You don't need to rush. You just need alignment. And that is so important. I never realized that until I started working with MONAT and realized what alignment really was. If this conversation resonated with you, here's what I want you to know. You don't have to rebuild the way you survived. You can choose calm. You can choose integrity. You can choose leadership that feels steady instead of stressful. And I'm going to tell you, you can choose a life that is not like your past life. It may be scary, but it is so worth it. So if you're curious about MONAT, about the products, the business, or simply want to have a grounded conversation about rebuilding or what rebuilding could look like for you, I'm here to discuss it with you. No pressure, no convincing, just clarity. Thanks so much for being here, and thank you for choosing yourself in this chapter.